Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. Folks, Bucks basketball is back, and you know what's not back, Rohan? Prize Picks, the presenting sponsor of this podcast. They never left. They've been here for a long time. So use code GYROSTEP, all caps, to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. We'll talk more about our friends at Prize Picks later, but
it's like not back. Like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, Bucks optimism after the first 5 minutes is not back. I mean, maybe I just wanted to delay talking about this game for a little bit, as we did get Bucks basketball. It was the worst kind. Milwaukee lost 120-87 to the Detroit Pistons and their 45 fans in attendance. That's the only shot I'm going to be able to take at the Pistons, because after the first 8 minutes or whatever of this game, they ran completely roughshod over the Bucks. We will talk a little bit about the Pistons, a lot about the Bucks. As we do, I think I can speak safely for us, say we're going to talk a little bit about every player who played in this game, sometimes a very, very little bit. Although, this may be the most excited I've been over a camp deal player. I will say that, and we'll get there later. But let's start with, I think, the most important thing, which is the Gary Trent Jr. injury. So we'll talk. Dame had a great game. I think most of the starters were quite good overall. It was everything after that was a problem. But Gary Trent Jr., after playing 13 minutes total, he did in the second quarter, ran into a hard screen from Jalen Duren like 1 minute after he knocked down Taurean Prince, who was down for like a full minute with an illegal screen. This one was not called an illegal screen. I don't think it was, but it was certainly a hard screen. Trent goes down in a heap, holding his elbow, leaves the game immediately, does not return. The Bucks called it a hyperextension. Is that right, Rohan?
I think so. Hyperextension of the left elbow, which is good because it's not his shooting elbow if you're talking about long-term outlook, but still not something you want to see in your first preseason game or
ever.
Let's put some spin, or ever. But let's put some spin on it. If something were to happen, better to happen in your first preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, you have the most possible time to get back. I saw some folks, I think this is because of like the NFL effect, going like, oh, why was he playing at all? Why does anyone play? If you look around the league, everyone's playing their guys. At least like LeBron played in a preseason game yesterday. I think especially for the Bucks, where there's been all this talk about continuity and learning Doc's new systems and everything. I mean, they had camp. It was 4 days. Right? Like there's not been much time for this team to gel. So I'm not going to be, a retroactive, oh, they shouldn't play anyone. I think they should play these guys in preseason. At least be smart about it and get to play your starters together. We didn't have Giannis or Chris in this game, so they only had, I guess, 2 or 3 of their starters to start with. And then obviously Trent got hurt. But you did a little research as our resident sort of doctor into this injury and found, maybe not encouraging, but found some, at least like the downside doesn't seem to be, apocalyptic. So why don't you share with the class?
So I'm using #basketball.com's NBA injury database, which is really cool. They said they've collated data from over 4,000 NBA injuries since 2010 and, like averaged out recovery times and stuff like that. Unfortunately, they just don't have an elbow hyperextension thing because that's not usually the injury. That is the cause of an injury. So we don't have the exact injury at time of recording on Monday morning here. So if I just put elbow like into this data, very, very precise thing happening here. The most average days missed for an injury regarding an elbow is 33 days. However, that is not going to be Gary Trent Jr.'s timeline because this 33 days is a surgery on right elbow, which was the shooting elbow of OG Anunoby. This happened this past February. He missed like a month of time. And so that is the most amount of time. If you want to say torn ligament in left elbow, that's 29 days. That's Nicholas Batum. Is he left-handed?
I think no, but I honestly don't feel confident about it.
Nicholas Batum is, oh God, I should have done this ahead of time.
That's okay.
He's right-handed. He is right-handed.
So that was his off elbow, and it still took four plus weeks.
So it took 29 days. So that would be the most that you could see based on this database for a left elbow, like a non-dominant shooting hand elbow injury, which is, it's a long time. However, that is also the worst possible one. So We'll see what Gary Trent ends up being. Hopefully it's not that. It doesn't seem like the end of the world.
No. And we should know more. I would think early this week, or at least before. The Bucks' second preseason game is Thursday against the Lakers. Unless it was honestly just a stinger, which I don't think it was. I think, I mean, you never know. If it was really just a stinger, that I don't know if there's a medical term for that specific injury, but basically you just get hit right on the elbow and kind of lose your feeling of your arm more or less for a bit. I mean, that would be the best case. I mean, maybe he would actually be able to play Thursday. I'm going to assume Trent is out for the rest of the preseason. The Bucks have 2 weeks until the regular season starts. So I think, again, I agree with you, Rohan. I mean, I thought this last night too. Like, it obviously sucks, but in another sense, there is no better time to get injured, because if you miss 4 weeks, you're only missing 2 weeks of the regular season. You're back in like mid-November, early to mid-November. So that's not really the end of the world. It sucks. I mean, we want all the time possible to gel, and we just want the team to be healthy, of course. But I don't think this is catastrophic to the Bucks' chances of like winning a title this season or anything like that. You certainly hope it's not one like the Jay Crowder injury where, he was out, but he came back and wasn't the same. Trent, I think, a little bit more proven of a player and more on the upswing than the downswing of his career at
and
this
also
point, which should help.
For Jay Crowder, that was like an abdominal surgery.
Abdominal surgery. Yeah, his whole core. He was out for a much longer time too, right? Like 6 weeks plus.
Yeah,
it's
apples and oranges.
Yeah. So Trent should be able to like keep some sort of the conditioning and everything. It's just obviously you don't want the elbow. I saw also Rondo just played through one of these. In like the playoffs. I think it might have even been a shooting. I mean, Rondo doesn't really shoot, so I guess it didn't matter. But Rondo played through a hyperextended elbow at one point.
You can tell him.
Yeah, we got to talk about that at some point too. Maybe this podcast. But let's stick with the players for now. I even skipped our normal greetings. I was just so excited to jump into Bucks basketball. But what we saw from Trent on the court, let's spin this into a positive. Looked amazing. Like, looked so good. I think defensively, a question we talked about is like, where is he going to help more? Really good screen navigator. I mean, he was getting around screens. He was staying with the players he was guarding. He took shifts on Jaden Ivey, took shifts on Cade Cunningham. He looked good in both spots. I mean, Cade got him once on like a turnaround just because Cade's a little bigger. That's going to happen.
Yeah, he got him deep post position right near the basket, was able to hit a turnaround hook. And it's like, okay, that's just Cade at that point. Also, this is just fueling my Pistons takes. But
as someone who I play in one basketball fantasy league, I won't join another. Sorry, GSPN Discord, but it's a dynasty league, and I bought low on Jaden Ivey. Feeling good about that because wow, he looked like the best player in this game for large stretches. Anyway, also Ron Holland's defense. Woo, he put DeLon Wright in hell. We'll talk about DeLon Wright later. That was rough for our new Buck, number 55. But Trent's defense, I thought, was very sound. And then offensively, he makes a 3 in transition, pull up 3 in transition. That was very fun. Dame found him. And my favorite bucket from him, his other bucket, he was 2 for 3 from the field. The offense is kind of broken. Doc said before the game, they're progressing slowly with installing the offense. Like, they don't have a lot of sets right now. It's more just motion concepts, kind of Budenholzer-esque. So basically nothing's working this possession. Trent gets the ball and just goes and like hits a running floater. He gets the ball with 6 seconds left on the shot clock and just goes and gets a bucket. And I pointed out, like, that's the kind of thing the Bucks have not had from their 2 guards since Malcolm Brogdon, probably. The ability to do that. I mean, if you want to say like George Hill, but he didn't start at the 2 guard, right? I mean, Wes Matthews, Grayson Allen, Malik Beasley, those guys couldn't do that. I mean, obviously we all remember the famous Grayson deer in headlights play against the Celtics where he just couldn't get a shot off at all. Trent can. And I think when he's back and healthy and able to play again, that's so valuable. So even if, the Bucks starters, nothing's going on, nothing's doing, they can toss it to a guy who's like the 4th priority for the defense, and he can just go get a bucket whenever he needs to. I think that's going to be so huge over the course of the season and certainly in the playoffs.
100%, where it's just like you need people who are overqualified for their role. Gary Trent Jr. is someone who is overqualified to be a 4th option on offense. And that's exactly what you need from him. You need him to be like, okay, everything's not working. You've ended up with the ball on a busted possession. Can you make something out of it? Can you work around these margins and go get a bucket in these tough situations? He is a guy who can go and do that. And that's absolutely what the Bucks need. Was Malik Beasley doing that? No, absolutely not. Sorry, Malik. It was good to see you, but I know you probably said I hated to see him, but
he had a nice game. No, I didn't mind. I mean, I will say him talking trash to AJ Johnson. I was like, really? Wasn't even here. Like, what is like? Oh, you really showed a Buck stalwart there. It did reinforce my he has no idea the right circumstances to talk trash.
I think you could have just stopped at circumstances. He has no idea.
Also, circumstances. Yeah. I mean, I had to laugh. I wasn't mad. You might think I would have been mad. I wasn't. I was just like, what are we doing here?
It was odd, to say the least.
Yeah.
But Gary Trent Jr., really, really impressed with his showing, even though it was just a couple minutes here, and hopefully we get to see it again soon.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you have a watch on, Rohan?
I do not.
Oh.
Actually, it's really embarrassing.
Well, it's not embarrassing. I was going to try and do a segue so you could talk about Dame time, but I don't have one on either.
I got a new watch recently, though.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. It's not the Tissot Damian Lillard one. Hit me up, Tissot.
Or Dame.
Yeah, or Dame. Preferably both.
Group message?
Yeah. Put me in a group message with the Tissot rep and Damian Lillard. Let's see what happens.
We're sending you a watch, and I'm doing an interview on your podcast.
And Giannis Great. And Breitling. Let's put them all in.
Now I think there's conflicts. I think we'd have to pick one. But
Tissot's more reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, also, I just feel like it's a more integrated sponsorship with Dame and the Dame. Like Giannis, I don't know if Giannis just wears Nike sweatsuits everywhere.
I know, but he is literally a face of Breitling.
I know, but it's just random though, right? Like, do you not agree?
I know it is a bit random, but when I say it's you go to shops, it's his face plastered all over. Cool. And it's this is Breitling. This is one of the biggest watch companies in the whole world. And they're just putting Giannis as okay, boom, there you go. Sorry, this isn't sponsored, but
no, not yet. Not yet. Breitling though, hit the line. I want to invite you to talk about Dame though, who I thought had an excellent game.
I mean, what is there to be said? First off, what's up with the knee-high socks?
Didn't even notice.
It makes him look shorter, I will say.
Did you see his adorable little man moment on the bench?
No.
Him laughing with Brook?
No, I didn't.
Late in the game, he's laughing with Brook, and I swear to God, he squeezes Brook's arm as he tells a joke. And I'm like, he's such a cute little guy. And he's so serious, but when he's having a good time, man, I hope this isn't the one episode Dame listens to. I think you're a very serious person, Dame, but
but Damian Lillard had an outstanding performance in this preseason matchup. Only saw him for just a hair over 17 minutes in this game, but from the get-go, you're like, oh, this guy's here. He's out here. He's hitting threes whenever he gets space around the screen. He's navigating screens well as an offensive player. He's doing what he needs to do to get whatever airspace possible. It wasn't the best performance from him inside the arc. It was 1 of 4 inside the arc, but 4 of 6 outside the arc. Just bombs away from distance. This is the Damian Lillard we were hoping to see. It is. It is the Damian Lillard we were hoping to see. If his inside game isn't working too well, you know what? That's fine. I'll take that. Bucks point guards have had trouble doing outside and inside. I'll take it if you're good at one thing. Especially when you have Chris and Giannis and Gary Trent and all this fun stuff.
Yeah.
But what a great performance. He was not only being able to shoot the ball well, he was dishing it. He was navigating everything well within the flow of the offense. I couldn't have asked for too much more.
Yeah, I thought his drives were the one negative. I don't think he didn't make a shot at the rim because his 1-2 was a pull-up jumper he hit over Beef Stew, I want to say. So I think he was 0 for 4 at the rim. He had a couple turnovers from there. He ends with 4 assists to 2 turnovers, but still was able to control the game and just be dominant when he was in. And I do think some of the rim stuff was just the Pistons didn't respect who the Bucks had out there as much as they'll have to when it's Giannis and Chris. So there was often just the team was spaced around the floor, And Detroit just didn't care. They were like, if you can get the ball to Pat Connaughton, fine. We're going to send 4 guys. And my thought was, like, when Giannis is also in the paint and like a lob away, it's going to be like there's just such an easier outlet valve there than Dame had in this game. So I didn't love his drives, but I'm not super concerned because I do think the context matters a lot. His jumper obviously looked amazing. He started red hot, I think 4 for 4 from 3. All of them were like hard pull up off the dribble. You know, it wasn't like he was getting set up. He also played point guard a lot more. He was just on the ball a bunch, which we've often seen him do without Giannis. But yeah, he clearly can still do that. Was on pace for like a 30-9 game very easily. I'm glad they didn't, obviously push him too much in this useless game when someone had already got hurt. And Detroit was just playing hard as hell. And they played their starters a lot more. And you get it. They're a young team. Like they're growing. They need to prove something. But it didn't go great for the Bucks that happened. But yeah, I thought Dame looked overall awesome. I hope to see a little bit better drives, but I also hope next time we see him, he plays with Giannis because that's really what we need to see, right? I mean, it's cool to see this from Dame after, kind of the summer talk of like, I'm going to be the real Dame. He looked like it. We really want to see the real Dame with the real Giannis, though. So I hope, I hope there's not many more games where he plays without him because it's not pointless. Like, it's good for the rest of the team, too. But do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I need to see this from Dame again if Giannis isn't playing.
Yeah, I don't think so, right?
I was surprised he played in this game with no Giannis.
Yeah. I'm surprised he played as much as he did. Like, I know he only played like 17 minutes, but it's like maybe 10. Like, do you really need to do this? But then again, we were just talking. Just get him reps. If it's not like 25 minutes, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who was doing 700 lunges a day after doing 500 push-ups a day or whatever.
Crazy.
Make sure to read Jim Ozarski's story on Dame's offseason. But
friend of the pod.
Oh yeah, good friend of the pod. But it's good. Like, it's great to see. It's very encouraging. I thought one of the best things is that Brook's screens are still incredible. That freed Dame up a lot. I know we'll talk about Brook in a little bit, but just that chemistry is still there. That's one of the first things that Dame really, really enjoyed when he came to Milwaukee is like those Brook Lopez screens. And Brook Lopez is still a large, massive, hulking human being, so that's good.
He's in great shape too. Let's talk about Brook now.
He wants uppies.
He wants uppies. Brook was 2 for 5 from 3 and made his only 2, which was on a pick and roll with Dame. It was a nice feed from Dame to Brook, and he finished it easily. Brook looks really spry. I mean, he looks great. He looks in midseason form was one of the notes I took from this game. He ends with 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 turnovers. Had the coolest play maybe of his life, a race. So he talked at media day about like doing ball handling drills. I'm like, what does this mean? And I will say they're running a lot more possessions through the top of the arc, at least now in this like version of the Bucks where they don't have much installed offensively. Maybe that's just a crutch for the time being. But Brook on the short roll feeds a behind the back pass perfectly to a cutting Pat Connaughton that would have been 2 points, but gets called for a weak charge on a guy who jumped in front of him. Brook does not move fast enough that you should ever go down unless he really hits you. He did not. But that was like a holy crap moment from Brook. Bombed away from 3. The shot looked good. Again, 2 for 5. I still worry that sometimes it's too easy to just funnel all the shots to Brook. But if he's hitting them, then the other team just loses the game. So that's kind of a nice backup. And I thought defensively he looked really good.
If he just turns into prime Steph Curry.
It happens a couple times a year, right? A couple times a year, there's a team that's just like, we're going to let him shoot. And then Brook is 4 for 4, and you just probably lose the game. Yeah. So there is an upside there, even if we don't feel comfortable.
There was a photo from training camp that was making the rounds where it's like Brook throwing a behind the back, like behind over the shoulder pass, and everyone's like, let's see him try to do that in a game. I have no idea.
He's like that.
And he's like, all right, I see you. So we might be getting what is this version of Brook that we're getting this year? It is prime Dwight Howard mixed with Nikola Jokic.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's just the greatest center of all time.
Let's just throw in Towns too, because he's also a shooter.
Dikembe, R.I.P.
Yeah.
That was so sad. R.I.P. to Dikembe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
No, it's I don't know if we said it on the last.
I don't know if
pod.
we did either.
So yeah, it's good to acknowledge a true pioneer and legend.
Absolutely, on and off the court.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing work with NBA Africa. It was at every event, people would say. And how big or how small he'd be there.
Do you remember the first NBA Africa game where I think Giannis played in that game? It was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. But there was like a point in like the third or fourth quarter where Hakeem and Dikembe just checked into the game.
Yes,
what an iconic moment! Iconic moment. And then Hakeem hit a dream shake. We got a Dikembe block. It was incredible.
Yep.
So R.I.P. Dikembe. Best wishes to his family.
100%. But Brook Lopez, maybe he's not going to be all those legends, but he still looks great. I mean, I think you're always a little worried, like in the offseason, a player of this size and age, like is there going to be a fall off? I mean, knock on wood. I think at this point, unless something happens like to force it with him, some sort of an injury, I think he's going to be locked in and very productive.
He's already had back surgery and came back better.
Right. I mean, it'd have to happen this year because it derailed that season. Yes, right. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, he's clearly, I think this probably isn't said enough, clearly working extremely hard to stay in phenomenal shape. Like for a 7-footer of that size, I would say he moves very well. Like he was too slow for the Pacers. Like that's just physics, right? Like it's not because Brook isn't an extremely athletic for his age and position player. I thought he looked great. I thought it was very encouraging.
Yeah, 100%.
4 stocks in 15 minutes.
I mean, yeah, it's just good to see not like a massive athletic fall off for Brook, which is honestly all you can ask for at this point.
Yeah,
truly.
And now he's a ball handler.
Yeah, and he's a passer.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly, Brook doing better short roll stuff is very important. So I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, we want to see Giannis screen for Dame more, of course, but I think Brook is still going to do it here and there. I mean, he's such a great screener, and if he can be even more useful on those than some of his like glacial pull-ups or whatever, I'm all for it.
Yeah, because Brook is never going to be a hard roller, not at this point in his career ever. Yeah. So just being able to do some short roll stuff, like just do something on the interior. Like off a pick and roll, like that's great. Like go off, King.
Should we talk about maybe the most divisive Buck?
Is it Pat Connaughton? I'm kidding.
No, I think everyone's just down on Pat. I will say quickly, everyone shit on me. Sorry, Ty. After the first air ball, because I said I was buying up all the stock before the game, and he had a horrible air ball, and his one foul was a bad foul. He fouled once in 15 minutes. 3 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, no turnovers, 7 points. It's a pretty good game.
It's all right. Yeah.
Played much better than every young Buck combined. I'll say
absolutely.
that. I mean, hey, I'll still take that stock. I don't think he's going to start many games in the regular season. I hope not, at least. But he looks like he could play. And again, would have been 4 for 5, a really nice cut. And cut to the rim earlier. I think Prince found him in transition. Like, still a very smart player who just knows where to be. And people might roll their eyes and say that's not enough. It's a big advantage over these guys who aren't that, right? It's just really hard to play with guys who don't know the spots to be in, where to go, what to do. Pat does. And I thought he looked overall good outside of that first miss, which was very ugly, and he had a very bad foul. But outside of that, I think had a solid game.
When that first miss happened, I was like, we're so back. We're so back. But then he actually had a pretty productive game.
Yeah. Listen, again, I don't think he's going to light the world on fire or win comeback player of the year, but he, based on everything that happened in this game, I think he is definitely going to be in the rotation. Not near the top of it, but I think it would make sense for him to play based on what we saw. And we will have more preseason games to analyze, but good start for Pat. No, I was talking about Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
I mean,
led the team in scoring.
It is the most Bobby Portis game. 16 points, 5 for 7 from the field, 4 for 5 from deep. And they lost his minutes by a point per minute. So they're just getting killed with him out there.
You look at that box score and you're like, oh, this is amazing. He's doing incredible. And it's like, in some ways, yes. Like he's doing.
In one way, yes.
He's doing what he needs to do on offense. And
that's all he could do.
Bombing away from distance. Too bad there's more to basketball.
Yeah.
Like other things, not being a black hole on offense, playing defense, a lot of things that are involved. This is really this is really a Bobby Portis game. I think you put it
100%.
so well. Like
100%.
it's a game where you're like, oh man, this is the full experience. But you can also see like why you could maybe get some trade going. It's like there's a lot of ways to interpret this. It's one preseason game. It's the first preseason game. I don't want to say too much, considering sometimes he was sharing the court with players who did not know what was going on. Yeah,
I think he prefers that though, because then like nobody could stop him from just using every single possession.
Yeah, but early on he was sharing the court with Dame, and we saw the same issue of hey Dame, just go feed the ball to Bobby Portis and go stand on the other side, and it's like, oh, we're doing this again, are we?
Yeah,
it's just it's a little disappointing.
The three is big for him. He hit 4 or 5, and I will say,
which is great. That's great.
It is great, and he released them a lot faster. That was one of his issues. It took him forever. I thought his release was quick. He made his shot decisions very fast, and that is a huge development for him. They're still very low. Mark Jones on his one miss, he was 4 for 5. It's like that one had no chance. I think the highest point of the ball was like gonna hit front rim, and it ends up hitting the net. I don't know why his trajectory is like that. It just is. But I mean, that's a great sign that he's just willing to bomb away, that the shots, obviously were falling, and that it was more in rhythm than sometimes he would like dribble for no reason and then shoot a worse shot and they never went in. So that was good to see. A lot of them above the break as well. So they were trying to do a bunch of DHOs with the bigs at the top of the arc, just to again, facilitate easy offense without calling complicated plays. So get the guards moving, get the wings moving. He literally can't DHO. I don't know how a player is a 4 or 5 in the NBA for a decade and just cannot do any of the big stuff. Can't protect the rim, can't roll. I mean, we've seen that, right? One alley-oop in 5 years, and can't DH, which is just handing the ball. I mean, I know it's working. You're handing the ball off to someone. You're just putting it in their hands. I know it's more complicated than that. I understand everything at this level is difficult, but also year 11, whatever it is,
It's really year 11 for Bobby.
I mean, is it 10?
I'm going to check. That's crazy. We're getting old.
Now you're telling me.
I Googled Bobby Portis, and one of the first things that comes up is stuck in this grind year.
Wait, what's the year?
It is, he was drafted in...
Oh, did he it wasn't in that post, stuck in the grind?
I don't think it was.
Oh. I know he made a post with his rookie
underdog.
And his...
2015. So this is year 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It never ceases to amaze me. For all the couple things he can do so well, there's just so many things he just cannot do.
Hey,
they tried it with the 5.
Detroit, did you love Bobby Portis? You can have him.
I mean, it's just...
No, I don't know if Detroit's a good partner.
I'm not going to talk trades right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be on the menu, though, because you just watch this and you're just like, yeah, it's kind of an issue that he just can't defend anywhere. I mean, they tried him just at the 5 first. That didn't work at all. Then they played him with Brook for a bit, and then they played him with Big AP? I don't know if they did.
I don't think so. I just one thing I just don't understand why Damian Lillard and the rest of the team, they're just so obsequious to him. Why are you why? Why are you just letting this happen? You're Damian freaking Lillard.
Well, I mean, I wonder some of it too is Dame took 10 shots in 17 minutes. Maybe he was okay, I'm not just gonna take all the shots, right? Let's.
You should.
Well, in this game maybe not, but at least run some other real offense, not just let's dump it down low to Bobby. And I mean, there were some possessions in this game where I'm not gonna rail on him for this as much as I usually would, because you're so light on scoring that it kind of did make sense. I mean, the AJ Johnson possessions, as much as we get, the Bobby possessions were a lot better than those, at least, or really, again, pick any young player. I don't think we're getting a big, the shooting is big. That's the number one thing. If he can make shots consistently, even 37%, just at his size, just having 2 bigs who you can rely on to shoot, that is huge for your spacing, and that makes him a lot more useful, I think. But defensively, we still have not found a lane for Bobby just yet. Not that I could see. I think the zone could help. But I don't know if it will, though. Because I wonder if it's going to be the same issue as drop, where like it's just too much space for him to navigate. I still think he's best at switching. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Who should we talk about next?
Let's talk about our friends at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Big numbers. Big numbers at Prize Picks. Another big number is you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. And this is the golden age to do it. I mean, we got preseason basketball. We almost got, right, we'll get there. But playoff baseball, we do have playoff basketball as well as preseason basketball on the women's side. And of course, the football games are rolling. Exciting Packers come from behind victory. So make sure you sign up today to get that $50 instantly when you play $5. And you don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's on us. It's guaranteed thanks to us here at the Gyro Step. So if you're looking at Justin Jefferson yards with apparently MVP Sam Darnold slinging the ball around, you can go for that. If you're looking at Asia Wilson wasn't scoring enough points. If you're looking at Nafisa Collier points, dude, that could be a good one. Or maybe Sabrina Ionescu points and assists. That's always fun. Stewie PRA has been a fun one. Jonquel Jones, we're big fans of Jonquel Jones here on the podcast. So, and I've been doing a lot of Alyssa Thomas points, rebounds, assists because she's a triple-double machine. So those are the plays we've been doing. Also, I'm still on board Jaden Reed rushing yards. I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
If you see it, they're giving him end-arounds every single game. And so far, he has not quit practice and refused to play in a game. So that's going to help him be on the field more as well. If you're a fan of any of these plays, or if you have your own to cook up, download the Prize Picks app today and use code EuroStep to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code EuroStep on the Prize Picks app. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Legal in 30 plus states, including Wisconsin, the most important one. Prize Picks, run your game. Let's talk about the last starter, Taurean Prince. Very fun game.
Very fun game. Incredible block on a dunk. Jaden Ivey tried to punch him. Blocks. But the 1-2-on-1 fast break where Jaden Ivey tries to punch it on him and just gets met at the rim. I jumped up out of my seat. I was like, oh my goodness, we're so bad.
I need your take on if it was the right thing to do to taunt him after.
Yes, absolutely.
I think 100%. Yeah, I had people complain that, he should have gotten the rebound. Preseason game, I mean,
you're not getting the person who blocks it. It doesn't usually get the rebound anyway.
Well, I know. I mean, he would have been kind of in position, but it was such a sick play that I was like, that's fine. I'm not mad about that. Yeah,
go talk your talk.
Yeah, I like that play quite a bit. He's got more like the athleticism that Boss Man didn't have is a huge deal. The other block. The length as well. The other block stood out to me because it was one of those plays where like last year's Bucks just give up an open three because it was, I think, semi-transition and I forget who was shooting it, but Detroit had a shooter back on the line and they passed the ball behind most of the defense. Prince ran back and just blocked the three. Like the athleticism, length that the Bucks have missed from this kind of swingman, big wing spot really jumped off the page a lot in this game. Also had 5 rebounds in 15 minutes. So ends with 5 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. No turnovers, no fouls. 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 3 from deep. As we'll get to with AJ Green, I'm not going to be too concerned about shooting variance in game 1. But overall, I thought this was a very strong Taurean Prince game where he showed he can do multiple things. He's not just like a station-to-station shooter, even if he's mostly that on offense. But again, 2 assists. Like, he was moving the ball. Again, he had a nice pass to Pat in transition. Really, I thought showed off that he can be a very versatile player and do a lot of things for the Bucks.
Yeah, really did. Really showed off that versatility, that flexibility that we were really hoping he would bring to this Bucks team. Just an outstanding performance. Like, nothing for this box score really stands out. Like, he had 2 points. He made 5 points. Sorry, I was reading about. He had 5 points on 2 made shots. That's what I was trying to say. And 1 made 3. It's just like, okay, cool. That's awesome. But it's just all of the other things about the sport where it's just, that's where he's really shown up. He's able to play good defense. He's able to navigate. He's able to do what needs to be done and take on multiple assignments and be flexible like that. It's great. Again, This is the Pistons. It's not like it's not like you're facing the Celtics or anything. Yeah. But it's good to see. It's encouraging sign.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also led the team besides Ajax and second on the team in rebounds, which his like a bunch of Laker fans were like, he doesn't rebound, like that's a big issue. I'll be interested to watch that going forward, just how many boards he is able to grab. Even though he, again, gave up on one while he was yelling at a player he blocked, which I think is sick, to be honest. AJ Green. So a lot of people were down on this performance. 1 for 5 from the field, and they were all threes. Had 3 rebounds and 1 assist. It is hard to read these box scores because literally like 20 guys played in this game. 1 foul, no turnovers. So only scored 3 points. Was a minus 17. They got absolutely killed in those minutes. I thought his defense was fine. He was overall fine. And the 1 for 5 includes a heave, which I will not knock a player for. I think it's the right play. Like quarters expiring and he heaves from half court. I think it was the first quarter. So realistically, 1 for 4 on real shots. They were good looks. I mean, I think he's most nights going to hit 2 or 3 of those. And then this box score looks totally different to me. So I'm not worried about AJ Green. I didn't think it was a standout performance, but it's not one that worries me, if that makes sense. But I'm interested to hear if you think differently.
No, I don't think too much. I mean, it's just disappointing to see him come out not shooting well, especially the last time we saw him. He wasn't shooting well. There's a lot of evidence to say that's not who he is, but this is a little bit of a concerning trend. I can't wait for him to get out of his slump. That's all I'll say, because he's lights out. He's one of the best shooters on this team. You'd say he's probably like he's a guy who will find a spot on any rotation on any team just based on his ability. And it's gonna look real nice when he actually starts making his shots. That's all. If that doesn't happen in the next like month, then I'm gonna start to be very concerned.
Yeah, 100%.
But right now, it's just a middling level of concern.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to me too that Doc went out of his way to say he had a phenomenal summer. Like it doesn't sound like he's been bricking all summer, right? So I would expect Thursday we come out and we see a better game from him. But I agree with you. Unless we see like a sustained trend here, I'm going to go with the hundreds of maybe not makes, but the hundreds of attempts of data we have versus 1 for 4 on real threes in this game.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, is it Ajax?
No, you know what? I want to do this because I don't want anyone to say I'm biased. Chris Livingston had a bad game.
He did.
I had a lot of hope, and he didn't get in for a while. He had to wait a long time. So Marjan, Ajax, AJ Green all got to play, and even AJ Johnson a bit with some of the real players. Livingston really didn't, but 0 for 3 from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 block. So had a couple nice defensive possessions, 3 turnovers, including a really bad intercepted inbound that goes immediately for 2 points. Just did not look.
It was his best Jordan Love impression.
Yeah, no kidding. But just bad. Just didn't look good, which is unfortunately a common theme for almost every player we're going to talk about from here on out.
Yeah, it was disappointing. He definitely looks taller. I'll say that. Good.
Yeah.
For him. He looks bigger. Was he listed at 6'8" now?
I think so, yeah.
You know what? It's a good skill to have, just being big.
It's
can't
maybe the only skill for one of these players we're going to talk about.
It really is. But CL, it wasn't a great showing. It was not promising, which there's a lot of ball left to be played. There's a lot of preseason ball left to be played, so we're not going to be too down on him or too high or whatever on any of these players. But there's a lot to improve on with CL.
I will say I hope he gets a little bit of chance to play with some of the real rotation players more, because I think he'd look better. But we'll see. I mean, he did not do anything in this game to earn extended looks by any means. So we'll see how Doc approaches that. Are they going to filter through and give the young guys various chances, or is there already a pecking order? It's hard to say after one game. I think after game 2, we'll have a better idea on that.
Yeah.
Now, where do you want to? You can go now. I wanted to get that over with.
Let's do Marjan. Let's do Oler Coke now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not great.
Couple nice moments in there, but overall, yeah, it still doesn't look like he knows what to do consistently or is able to execute consistently.
No, I mean, he was trying his best to like be a little bit of a facilitator and just didn't work out. Trying to be a driver did not work. Couldn't hit a shot all night. It's just a trend of, these guys look bad in summer league. They look bad anytime we've seen them play recently, and they continue to look bad.
I mean, 2 assists, 2 blocks, a steal to 1 turnover. Like, did some nice little plays on the margin, I thought, but 0 for 4 from the field.
On the margin?
On the margin. I think he started worse and then kind of like did some quiet plays that were actually pretty nice. He and CL both had a couple nice defensive plays, I will say, but they were not able to turn them into anything. I mean, the Bucks, I think, scored 30 points in the second half total. Like, they had no offense going once Dame and Trent left the game, and Portis, which makes sense, but it's still disappointing because like you'd hope to at least have something. One of these guys able to do something consistently, and really none of them were. I might have been more disappointed with Ajax, to be honest with you.
It was bad. It was not good at all. Ajax had a performance that was just absolutely erratic and insane.
It was like a carry from Summer League. It really was.
There were 2 times where he was leading a break and just could not find anyone. He had an easy lob to CL that just got blocked, and then he tried to put it up and got blocked. And then there was another fast break where he's just throwing it out of bounds, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing here?
Finally, on the 3rd one, he just took it to the rim and laid it up, which is what we've been begging him to do for. And it probably wasn't even the right play.
It wasn't the right play. That's the funny part, because it was a 3-on-1 fast break, and he was the one behind the defender. like that's the time you choose to take it yourself.
I know. He just doesn't look comfortable at all. I mean, these are the games where he should be able to excel to a certain extent with no Giannis, and he did get some minutes.
This dude was in the rotation last year.
Yeah.
And he can't do this against the Pistons?
He led the team in rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, but also 3 turnovers, to your point, of just like, he doesn't look comfortable anywhere.
No.
And I don't think he had a great defensive game either. I feel like a lot of times he's like, people who watch the team will say, oh, he brings a lot defensively. I think he brings a lot of athleticism. I don't think it translates, though. Like, he's not the caliber defender that he is athlete. Right? Like, if he was, he'd be one of the best defenders in the league. He's not that. Like, he's usually around the right position. He did get lost a couple times on switches, which was bad, or like the zone, like pulling to the wrong spot. But he's honestly does not impact shots to the level you'd expect, given the athlete that he is. I don't know if that's trying not to foul. He did only have 1 foul, which is really good for him. But overall, I just kept wondering, like, what is his impact on this game right now? And it really was minimal, I would say, throughout the game. He was like getting rebounds, missing shots. He was 1 for 6, missed both of his threes, which didn't look very good. It seems like he's taken a step back from last season based on this. Again, only one game. We're not out on him for life. But based on this and Summer League, like, he doesn't look like that plug and play role player that we hoped he could be.
Yeah, it just looks like he's going to be spending a lot of time trying to find his way into trying to push a square peg into a round shaped hole.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to we talked about this with Marjan a lot. When you're a role player wing at the NBA, you just need to know what to do when, right? Do I drive to the rim? Do I pass? Do I shoot? And if you don't have a really good idea on which of those to do at any given time, it's just going to be hard to play you on a serious team, because it just throws off the whole offense. If, okay, you're open in the corner, you should shoot, and you drive into coverage, like, you just wasted that possession, basically. Or, you're not open and you try and take like a little step back when it's not your game. Like, that's going to throw off the whole offense. So he's got to just get better at that. I mean, he's a young player still, but I mean, a lot of college. You'd hope he could fit in a little better going forward. This was a rough game. Oh, we skipped DeLon Wright.
Yeah, we did skip DeLon Wright. One thing about DeLon Wright, why is he wearing number 55?
Don't know.
Why?
Because he can't wear 5?
But here's the thing. On NBA.com, he's listed as number 4. So that's I'm weird. Like, what's going on here? I don't get it. On B-Ball Ref, I don't even see him listed on any number because it hasn't updated to this year, so that's B-ball ref's fault. Get on it. But I don't know what's going on. Like, why number 55? First of all, that's a horrible number.
It's fun.
It says the last person to wear 55 was Ryan Rollins in 2024. So we just came in, took Ryan Rollins, number 54. And then it also says Ryan Rollins on NBA.com is wearing number 13. Is that true? I don't know.
He's actually worn 55 a lot.
Really?
He wore it with Detroit, with Dallas, with the Raptors, with the Kings, and with the Wizards. So he just likes 55.
Interesting. I mean, good on him.
I think some guys, like, it's nice to know you can get a number. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like someone on the Rockets is like the first to ever wear number 59 or something crazy like that. I mean, sure, but it's like, why does NBA.com list him as number 4?
That part is that's weird. I don't know where that. I think sometimes they like just carry over what they wore the last year or something, and they don't update it for a while. I think on the Bucks roster they now have it right. I'm pulling it up. But what do you think about his game?
I thought I was
whelmed.
Yeah, I was literally about to say whelmed. I was whelmed by his performance. It was okay. I mean, he just got clamped by it was
they have DeLon Wright and Liam Robbins is wearing 4 on the Bucks roster.
That's
too.
awesome.
So they must have just not processed this yet.
Clearly they're both wearing number 4. They're like in college football, isn't like Alabama have 2 different players wearing the same number? One's offense, one's defense.
Probably, because there's like 200 guys per team. It's kind of insane.
It doesn't make any sense. But DeLon Wright, sure. I mean, not the greatest performance I've ever seen from a Buck. I mean, as a backup, he wasn't really showcasing a lot of what he can do. I mean, to be fair, to his credit, he did share the court with Dame sometimes. He did share the court with players who had no idea what they were doing. He was there when Bobby was just being Bobby.
Well, yeah.
I think that plays into a lot of it.
Yeah, I think they didn't really let him play backup point guard in this game, it felt like. Whereas Dame really, I mean, obviously there's levels there. Dame's always going to do Dame, but like they weren't like running sets where DeLon Wright was setting guys up. He was kind of just coming up and like giving Bobby the ball, and they were doing DHOs. So I hope that's not going to be his role all season. I think he can do more of setting up other players and really wasn't asked to. Like all he did was shoot. He shot 5 threes. He made 2 of them. That's solid. He had 2 assists, but also 2 turnovers. He did have a nice block where you kind of saw the reach and like his disruptive arms a little bit. But overall, not a good game. He didn't look good as a ball handler either. Again, with the Ron Holland just absolutely clamping him up and dunking. But it was just kind of there. Drew a foul, made some free throws. The Bucks took very few free throws in this game. He made 2 of the 8 made free throws. Detroit was able to be physical mostly the whole game. But yeah, I mean, wasn't a great performance. I don't know. Are you worried? Did he look slower than you thought?
Not really. I'm not worried. Yeah. It's like what he needs to do on this team when everyone's playing and healthy is not really that's going to be something that's going to be exemplified in a preseason game where you have a bunch of guys out. Like you're not going to be able to see how he fits with Chris, with Giannis, with Dame. Like that's what I care about. Truly.
It was nice to see him take 5 threes, like pretty good threes in a short time and make a couple. I think that's one thing where like how he shoots is going to determine a lot ultimately, I think, about how effective he is, even though I know he does other things, but still like that ceiling is dependent on it. It's a good start from that perspective, carrying over from what he did against the Celtics in the playoffs for Miami.
Yeah. Who's next?
AJ Johnson.
I was going to say AJ Johnson. He came in earlier than I expected in that game.
Yeah. They gave him a shot. I think he played with Dame for a little bit.
He did.
No, or with DeLon. He played with Dame, yeah. So he had a shot to do real things. He at least played with DeLon Wright. Like I know he was out there with some real players.
I thought he played with Dame, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But he played with actual rotation players. Boy, was that an experience.
Not a good one.
No, not really at all. They were giving him the ball. They were like, hey, you're a point guard. Do point guard things. He tried to do point guard things. He can't do point guard things yet. Like it's clear. It's so clear after Summer League and like what we've seen of him before he got drafted and what we saw in this game. Again, a lot of time left, but it just confirms our beliefs that this guy is not even close to being a contributor.
He needs reps. And he just needs, like, that's the thing. Like, it wasn't like he looked hopeless the whole time on these possessions. Like, you would see, I saw Eric Name pointed this out too. Like, he would get around his first guy. Like, you could still see the athleticism in the handle was on display. It's not like he just, like, got immediately clamped on the perimeter. It's just like once he would do that, you could just tell he had no idea what to do. And to the point about Dame earlier, Detroit was really crowding the paint because especially, you know, although there were some real players, there was a lot of the bench guys that like Marjan and Ajax who just no teams are going to guard until they make actually some shots, and they didn't do that in this game. So the paint was a mess. That made it a lot harder for AJ Johnson as well. But like he would start off possessions kind of encouraging. Like he would get to the rim and like just miss a tough shot at the cup or throw a pass that gets picked when he tries to throw it behind him and there's just too much traffic. So it wasn't all negative, even though the box score is uniquely awful. He just needs again, I think it's so obvious to everyone watching. He should run 20 pick and rolls per game with the Herd this season. And just like if the Herd suck because of it, so be it. I don't know if they necessarily will or not. But that's what he needs. He just needs to get used to seeing this and like knowing what to do, especially as a point guard. It's just a hard position early. And again, he didn't even get to play point guard last year, right? Like they didn't use him as such in Australia. He just sat in the corners mostly. He needs reps really badly. He's behind schedule on just playing basketball at the position. So this was a really bad game. I mean, clearly he's not pushing DeLon Wright anytime soon. But I do think just get him a bunch of reps and he could be a much better player coming into camp next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just he needs to learn. He just needs to learn the game. He just needs a lot of practice. And, you know, it's fun to see him in these little spurts, but you're not going to see that unless it's absolute garbage time in the NBA.
Yeah. Should we talk about Chris Bosh 2.0 here?
Oh, yeah. Tyler Smith, for those
this is Giannis's comp, yes. Not my comp.
Yes. So Giannis was asked on the last day of training camp or whatever about the rookies. He compared AJ Johnson to the Roadrunner. Not
much worse comp.
Not an actual NBA player. In fact, actually a cartoon. But for Tyler Smith, he said he reminds him of Chris Bosh.
Crazy.
The way he moves, the way he can shoot, but also do big man things.
Crazy.
I hope, man. That'd be awesome.
I mean, that'd be nice.
That'd be awesome. Like, Chris Bosh was an absolute monster. That's maybe a little disrespectful to Chris Bosh.
100% it is. 100% it is. Luckily, I think Chris Bosh is a pretty well-natured dude, so hopefully it doesn't take shots. I thought Tyler Smith...
didn't look... I saw a lot of promise there.
100%. I think once we got to the point of the game... I would say outside of AJ Green, like once it was all young guys, I think he was probably the best player in that group, which didn't say a lot. I mean, he was 2 for 7, didn't do any other stats beside a foul. But I thought like overall missed some threes that I think he's capable of making. He was 1 for 4 from 3 and then 1 from 3 from 2. His athleticism opened up some nice plays. Like he was able to run in transition and get his 2-point bucket easily. He was able to get open from threes. I thought he was positioned better than I thought he would be overall. And my favorite moment from him in this game was he's standing next to Doc, and they're both like kind of independently trying to call out the play and get people set up. And I was kind of like, what is he, 19 or 20-year-old? Is like being vocal and setting things up and on the same page with Doc. And I have heard like the MO on him was obviously he doesn't know where to go on defense yet. But like he's a really hard worker, like a good kid, so to speak. The situation with Ignite was obviously horrible.
He turns 20 on November 2nd.
Yeah, so still 19. I saw some promise here. I mean, it wasn't a great game by any means. Another player I hope maybe on the level with CL, I hope we get to see like a Tyler Smith, Brook Lopez lineup or something, because everything was just a mess by the time he got in the game. But overall, I'm like, okay, for what we got from everyone else, not bad from Tyler Smith.
No, his shot looks good. He doesn't need a lot of space whatsoever. And he's so tall and he's so long that it's like, oh, this guy can get a shot off whenever he wants. There was what was that? The one shot he made in this game, or the 1-3. Yeah. Where it's just like there's a guy crashing out on him in the corner and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. He almost waited for him to get there and then shot the ball. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I like that a lot. It's really good to see that. But just everything else is it's a work in progress. We knew this was going to happen. Same with AJ Johnson. It's like we weren't disappointed by the performance because we knew this was something that was going to happen. It would be cool if we did see a little bit of Tyler Smith more than AJ Johnson in the actual games. I think he's more ready because he has a proven skill set already in his shot.
Yeah,
but just needs some work. Just needs a lot of refining, but the skills are there, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I want to see him play with the real players and have some spacing.
I want him to be the guy that makes it seem like I have actually some idea of what I'm doing when looking at draft prospect. Because he was a guy I was actually kind of high on.
I would love if we got a lineup where it was like Dame and Giannis and then Tyler Smith in at the 4 next to Giannis. Because I think that's the kind of lineup where he could really pop. And it's not just the shooting. I do think his athleticism is going to be the differentiator for him. Like, I think once he learns the positioning and spacing.
He almost had a massive poster.
Yeah, he did. Like, I think he could be a really devastating cutter at that size and that much burst. Like, he could bounce in for lobs from anywhere. So I'm still pretty high on Tyler Smith. I don't think he's going to be a big rotation player this year. I do think he may get some chances because there's positional scarcity. And again, he had a much better game. Maybe not much. He had a better game than Chris Livingston for sure, which was not great for CL. But CL played a little bit the 5. It wasn't ideal. I mean, he's just a little too small for that still. But so it goes. Let's see. Do you want to talk about the 2-ways?
Sure. I mean, that's all we have left.
Well, and the camp deals.
Oh, yeah. You got to talk about your boy.
My boy, Liam. But AP, big AP, Anžesh Pašinek. That was rough. Sorry, AP.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him how to say it and go with that. Because I feel like ESPN went with about 4 different versions. Pretty fun broadcast, I'll say, with Mark Jones and Tim Legler.
George Sedano on the sideline. It was good.
They talked a bit of NFL in there, but with the game, the way the game was going, I
was like,
really couldn't be mad. Really could. I was like, go on, legs. Let your Commanders cook.
Yep. What an exciting offense. Jaden Daniels. This is for the.
I know you weren't talking about this game.
Yeah. But AP, man, bro, that dude is just big and nothing else.
Big guy. He moves like a big guy.
He does.
He's setting DHOs a little bit better than Bobby. Not great. Yeah. Made his only shot. Nice little running, like little push shot. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Had 1 rebound and 1 foul, and that was it in about 8 minutes. Stood there at a large size, screened. Like, he's large. He's a big guy.
I don't get it. Why did they do this?
He's big.
He is very big. I'll give him that.
That's why. He's big. You can't teach that.
But also, like,
he's just around. He's just a large guy who's just around.
It looks like he just randomly stumbled his way onto a basketball court. He's like, oh man, I better try and blend in here. It's like, so they don't like figure out, oh man, I'm not supposed to be here. It's like that's what it feels like. Like I don't get it.
Yeah. It definitely strikes you as a guy where he was just like going to play soccer or something, badminton. And a basketball coach saw him and he's like, hey, you're a 6'6" freshman. Come on. Like you're playing basketball, buddy. You need to. He goes, oh, okay. And that's just been his life for 10 years ever since. There's not much more. He's just big. That's it. You can't teach it.
No.
I think legitimately at the herd level, like that's honestly kind of useful. Like just be in the way around the rim and he's a decent screen setter. It seemed like not great, but decent. Like does his little DHOs. Like it's nice size. We'll see, but I don't have any hope for him like giving you spot minutes at the NBA level on the 2-way.
No. He's going to at the G League level, it's going to be good to have that massive size, but not really the 2-way aspect of it.
Yeah. Stanley Amudier we saw for the first time.
Yeah.
Solid.
Wasn't mad. Didn't do a whole lot to really jump off the page, but he didn't really do a whole lot wrong.
Yeah, a couple of nice minor plays. Just didn't shoot well. He was 1 for 4. They were all threes. He did make 2 free throws. Again, he was one of the only young Bucks. I think only him and Marjan got to the line, and he made both. Marjan missed 1. Did have a block where he kind of showed, I mean, there was like that hype tape that went around after they signed him of like his defense. Like you could kind of see it. Had an assist, no turnovers, no fouls. I mean, really small minute stuff, but a solid showing. He might be better than MarJon, which is a little unfortunate.
That is really unfortunate.
Might be better than Ajax, which is a little unfortunate. It looks like he knows what to do a little bit more. Again, it's hard for guys to stand out when there's no structure and you're like a 3-and-D player. But a solid start, I would say.
Yeah. Like, not something I'm going to be like super upset with. I'll keep an eye on it going forward, but
yeah,
it's going to take a lot for him to break through into the actual rotation on a two-way.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I think I still like the gamble.
Yeah, of course. I think it's a good gamble. Like, someone who's proven that he can play NBA caliber minutes.
Yeah, which is more than a lot of these guys who are playing at this point in the game can say.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Rollins, our Summer League darling, the hero of Summer League in many respects outside of CL. Not a great showing.
No, I think he was just given a bad opportunity where it's just like, okay, this is just a mess. Try to orchestrate this chaos. And he's like, bro, yeah. I'm on a two-way deal.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's exactly what he said to Doc. But it just, like, again, didn't shoot well. He wasn't really doing a whole lot of point guard things or he was trying to do a lot of point guard things, but it wasn't really going too well for him. His reputation precedes him in that we've known that he can actually play NBA basketball and do that. But it was a horrible setting.
Yeah, I will say I hope for better because most of the time he played was very late in the game, so he was not going up against like Cade and Jaden Ivey, right? I mean, it was still like Marcus Sasser looked great for the Pistons at this point in the game. You know what I mean? Like they weren't playing like real, like they're real starters, but it was still NBA rotational guys who looked really good against this Bucks crew. I did hope he could give a little bit more stability to the offense, and really he did. I mean, he's 1 for 4 from the field. 4 rebounds is solid, but 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover. It's just kind of there, it felt like, for a lot of it. I hoped for more, and I hope we do see more from him in the rest of these games, because I think he really earned that two-way, or, you know, keeping that two-way in Summer League, but did not continue that performance here.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it.
Let's do it.
SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
James Akinjo?
Sometime many years ago. No, Akinjo didn't have a great game. Played well with the Herd last year. 2 turnovers, 0 for 2, 1 assist. Not a great point guard showing for Akinjo. No, Liam Robbins, who got 8 minutes and 42 seconds, played more than Big AP. This could be a battle for a two-way.
I think it is. I think it absolutely is a battle. Liam Robbins looked way more put together than AP did.
Yeah. He was 0 for 2 from the field. We can start there. Both jumpers. Didn't expect that. I'd like to see him get him rolling a little bit, see if he can finish around the rim or get a lob or something. But his jumper form looked okay. Neither went in, so it didn't look amazing, but he's definitely comfortable taking them.
Yes, and that's the good part.
Maybe. I mean, you know, they have to go in at some point, but it looks like it could work, I guess is what we'll say there. Had 2 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 8:42. Like, was really
literally the first time we've seen this guy play professional basketball.
Yeah. And he was out there disrupting a lot of shots at the rim. I mean, I would say there's probably one more that wasn't credited as a block where he did kind of interfere with the shot going up. His very first possession on defense, he got a very bad goaltending that made a play into an and one on a shooting foul. I will say on replay review, it was closer than I thought. It was close. Yeah. At first I thought it was like very obvious. I was like, oh, maybe this guy is bad. It was close. It might have been overturned. I mean, we didn't get like it's a preseason game and it wasn't challenged, so we didn't get all the angles, but it was close. But 3 blocks, like, a block every 3 minutes, basically. I was like, okay, like I see the vision here. I want to see him do something offensively because we haven't yet outside of missed shots. But the defense, I kind of felt like you felt him a lot more than Big AP in their minutes.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Like, you could tell, like, oh, this guy actually knows how to navigate an offense, play defense in that way, sort of read what's going on and be in the right position.
Yeah.
Way more than AP. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to just crush AP, but like.
But no, I mean, we get it.
Yeah.
Liam also, Robbins, one of these guys is like, what is AP 29, I think?
Yeah.
And Liam Robbins is
25.
25. Not but a fresh 25. Well, in July. It's October now, so not that fresh, but
you're just killing me because that's literally me. Like, I just turned 25 in July, so you saying those exact words just drove a stake directly into my heart. I just want to let you know that.
I'll say though, you just like Liam, the fresh cut helps a lot. You both look spry because you have great hair. I saw him on the bench like near Giannis. I was like, this guy looks awesome.
He does. He's got some aura to him.
Yeah. So I think if he'd knocked down one of those jumpers, I'd feel better. I want to see him do something on offense, but the defense didn't. I mean, again, he in a very good conference won Defensive Player of the Year. That's doesn't make him an NBA player, but it is something enticing to build on. And he got to show it in this game.
He really did. It's going to be, I think there's going to be a real shot that he takes that two-way.
Yeah.
Like I do shot.
Too. I would love to see him.
Maybe not right away. Maybe by like the end of preseason.
Yeah. I would love to see him like get some pick and rolls with, if not Dame, like at least like some real player. Just again, see what he can do in the role. Because I think that would be really valuable info. But he's comfortable shooting jumpers, and he definitely looks comfortable defending the rim. Yeah, I don't have any more Akinjo thoughts.
Yeah. I guess, we've talked about all the players. I think one thing we said we were going to circle back on, Rajon Rondo is... Oh, yeah. He's been with the Bucks in training camp, and Doc says he's going to be there you're going to see a lot more of it?
I don't know what that means necessarily.
Is it just going to be...
He wasn't there today, was he?
I don't think so. It's just like he's going to just show up at camp every now and then, like KG did back in the day.
I mean, it sounds like Doc wants to hire him. It's just like about if it's going to happen or not.
He went to his wedding.
Yeah, he's like, you're coming to camp. Did you see my bid on this?
Yes. Do you think he expensed it as a Bucks trip?
Yeah, so 100%. He's recruiting.
So he's like, guys, I'm going to Rondo's wedding, but this is a work trip, I promise.
Yeah. Didn't he go to Miami to meet with Gary Trent Jr.? What if Gary Trent Jr. wasn't even there?
He went to meet with his dad, didn't he?
Well, whatever. Well, but imagine if they weren't even based there. He's just like, hey, come out to Miami for this meeting.
And then he's like telling the Bucks, guys, I got to go to Miami.
I got to go to Miami. That's where they're going to be. I have an inside source.
I need the
Doc
plane.
is just like texting people.
I'm going to Miami.
Do you know where Rajon Rondo's wedding was?
No.
Italy. It was in Italy. Doc's like, all right, I got to go to this because we need a 15th assistant coach.
I'll tell you what, it's not a bad option with AJ Johnson there. I mean,
yeah, and then we got some cool pics of like them watching film together. I hope Rondo shows up some more.
AJ Johnson gets to learn from Rondo, DeLon Wright, and Damian Lillard.
That's pretty good.
Like that's awesome.
I wasn't first to this. Brandon Jennings beat me to it. I do have a weird feeling that Rondo is going to be the Bucks head coach someday. Not like this year, like weird circumstances like last season. I don't know why. Something about this whole thing, I just feel like he's going to have the job.
Why eventually. The Bucks head coach?
Because just got connections now in the org, and he's been around and everything.
Huh.
And they're all very excited about it.
I could see it. I could see it someday.
I mean, I don't know. It's just not like I'm reporting anything. I just have this weird feeling that someday we're going to be Bucks head coach. I don't even know if it's a plan right now. I don't know.
I could see
Doc probably wants to go golf again at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see it.
Yeah.
I see the
vision.
See.
This would be like a 2020. I was gonna say 2025. That's
that's this
3 months.
Season.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. 2030 plan here more than anything. But
I was gonna say like 2040 because Doc's gonna get 10 titles here in a row. But
that'd be so funny.
Can you imagine? Just after Doc.
How about did you like Doc's bid on the broadcast today?
No.
Oh, you didn't? They interviewed him, and he didn't talk much about the players this time, but he said he was just doing his black job at one point, like had nothing to do with the question. So
clearly I was listening a lot on mute.
He's just been like waiting to make this joke for. I mean, when was that? Months ago that Trump said that?
Yeah.
Like he's just been waiting. Like first interview, I'm definitely gonna drop this line.
You know what? More power to you, Doc.
I am just like against my will becoming such a fan of his.
It's crazy how far we've come, but every other Doc thing is just so funny.
It's everything about. I mean, like he's just expensing everything. He has not made a single trip where he couldn't expense it. I love that for him.
And Rondo's he's just like, oh man, this trip's really expensive. I need to think of some reason. Welcome to camp, Rondo.
Imagine they had to move camp to California to get Rondo to go. Like, this is all just one tied together scheme.
Oh my goodness, you might have uncorked it.
Rondo, trust. I'll put camp 10 minutes away from you. One of my kids played at UC Irvine. It's not a big. It makes no sense for our team, but we'll just do that.
It's got to do this so I can get expensed, Rondo. You don't understand. We have to do this. You have to come to camp. Otherwise, I'm out thousands of dollars for Rondo. You have to come to camp.
He did. He said it with a lot of force. He's like, "You get your ass to camp." I think is exactly what he told him at his wedding.
Not congratulations on getting married. Get your ass to camp.
Get your ass to camp, buddy.
You have to. You have no choice. I'm kind of in a pickle here, Rondo.
Yeah. Rondo had some great quotes though about like Dame being very receptive to his coaching, even though like Dame basically busted his ass for 10 years in the league, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. These are the guys we grew up watching. Now they're coaching.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then
some of them are still playing.
Yeah, LeBron's playing with his kid, which is just so wild.
It's wild. I think it's awesome. And also, to touch on something we said last week, the Philadelphia 76ers are playing against the New Zealand Breakers tonight.
Oh, it did happen. Okay.
Yeah, so that is a thing that is still happening. Yeah, go Breakers, honestly.
You know what I thought of this morning?
What'd you think of?
The LeBron Bronny thing is cool, but it'd be cooler if an NBA star was so good he made his dad, who sucked, play. Like, imagine if Luka was just like, you're signing, I don't know, Brad Doncic, and we're going to play together. I'm sure his name isn't Brad. I don't know what his name is. I mean, but just imagine Luka and his like 50-year-old Slovenian dad are sharing the court, and like it's real special for them, and everyone else is like, what are we doing?
Jalen and Rick Brunson, he's not an assistant anymore. He's on the team.
Get him on the court. That I think that should be the next like Wemby, get your dad on the team. Why not? You're not.
Why not? Your dad used to play professional basketball.
Exactly.
That's so.
But I think it's funnier if the guy didn't. Imagine you're just like, it's just a guy.
It's just a guy who's worked out down at the hardware store his whole life. He's like,
I coached high school for a few years.
Oh yeah, I'm here now. Like, wait, I'm supposed to wait. Coach is putting me in the game. What? What? It's like, no, this is what Luka wanted. What do you mean? He's gonna get me killed.
This is gonna be the next horrible sitcom that gets greenlit with Steph Curry.
Oh yeah. And then Luke is just like, Dad, take a charge. It's just Giannis barreling down the court. It's just like, oh man.
R.I.P. Brad Doncic.
R.I.P. Brad Doncic. Oh man. But at this point, we'll have to say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire and GSPN, presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this or watching this. You could be listening to this commercial free on GSPN Premium with the subscription. Go to gspn.info, $8 a month. You get bonus content, an exclusive podcast, commercial-free pods, all our written content, all of that fun stuff. $8 a month. Make sure to come join that crew. And make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends and family about the show, Pod Random, and we'll talk to you next time.